Nicole Williams is a fourth-generation Sweetgrass basket maker here in Charleston, having received her inspiration for making baskets from her late grandmother. Today, I talk one-on-one with Nicole for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Nicole Williams, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Quintin.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
It's been a while. I know we've been trying for a while to get this set up.
But here we are through the grace of God.
Yes.
Indeed. Praise God. I know that you are a fourth generation Gullah Sweetgrass basket maker here in Charleston. And as everyone knows, the exquisitely fashioned baskets are a low country tradition and American art with African origins. When West African slaves were brought to the South Carolina coast, they brought with them obviously the tradition of weaving baskets from grass with them. That is, the basket tradition was passed down from generation to generation since the 1700s. The Sweetgrass basket craft is unique into the Low Country and represents one of the oldest West African art forms in America. So tell me, how do you, Nicole, define Sweetgrass basket artistry these days?
Definitely a dying art. And what I see now, though, is more people of my generation starting to pick up the torch. And hopefully that will be an example to those in the generation to follow to keep up. Even if not them, then maybe their kids, because my mother doesn't make baskets, but I learned from my grandmother. So, even if it skips a generation, I think that at some point the interest will pick up again. But I definitely see a big influx of people in my generation up and coming. So, Miss Nicole, let me ask you, what got the Sweetgrass basket artistry from being one of the most celebrated and respected traditions to now being a dying art? I think it's just technology has resulted in lack of interest. I remember my grandmother, when I first learned it, she made, because I didn't know she made baskets until she was in her 80s. And she says, well, I stopped making them for years because I was made to do it as a kid. And I think just that that structure that used to be there, that forced you to learn the art, is no longer there because there's so many distractions between work. Like I work full time, so it's like I don't even get to make baskets as often as I'd like to. But I think that technology and just the distractions and just our changes in lifestyles have just kind of led to a decrease in people who do the basket sewing.
So, what was the lifestyle back then versus now?
Well, according to my grandmother, again, it was more about she was made to do it. It's like they'd kind of get home from school and just, and of course they were in Mount Pleasant, so they could just go in the backyard and grab some grass and just keep doing it. And her sister, my aunt, grand aunt, I didn't realize she knew how to make them either. And she was like, yeah, but again, these were people who just, they did it they started so young, I think. And that it's just was instilled in their brains because my grandmother hadn't done it in 50 years when I learned that she could do it. And I mean, her work was still like stunning. So I think it just, even for me, even if I can't do it every day, I try to do something, even if it's just a starter.
Yes.
To kind of keep it in my brain so that when that opportunity does come around for me to pass it on to somebody else in my family, I'll be able to do that.
Oh, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, on your website, you say your inspiration for learning to sew Sweetgrass baskets came from your mother, Miss Elizabeth Rouse Jenkins, who passed away several years ago, unfortunately. Grandmother, pardon me. So, let me ask you, what modern designs from your grandmother's era that you're actually using today when you do make your baskets?
My biggest thing is elephant ears. I don't know what it is about elephant ears, and people love my elephant ear baskets. So, but that has really been something that has taken off for me, as far as one of my styles that has just really taken off. That and making the Sweetgrass cross. That's another big one. But my grandmother, one of her big styles was she did the in and out baskets that look like stacks
Right.
of rolls. And it was just, I can't even do it.
Oh.
I can't do it. I've tried, and it is nowhere near as nice as hers was that she did in her 80s and 90s. So, but right now, elephant ears and sweetgrass crosses, for some reason, are my big thing.
And Miss Nicole, what are those other sweetgrass basket, styles that you want to make that you can't do just yet?
I am not very good at the ovals.
Wow.
I'm trying really, really hard. And I know Annie, I don't know if you know Annie, but she's offered to help me. At some point, I'm going to sit down with her and work on it because I'm determined to get it. But just that's one of my my goals. It's just I actually find it easier to do the baskets where I create my own base from the pine needle. And I know a lot of people don't like to do those, but I actually love doing those. But I have a hard time with the ovals.
Wow.
And handles. I don't know what it is about handle baskets.
Huh. Interesting. And Mr. Cole, you talked about earlier, obviously working with some other folks. We know all of these sweetgrass basket makers here in Charleston. I know most of them myself, Miss Vanessa Robinson, Betty Birch, the list goes on. Who in the sweetgrass basket community that you want to work with now to make some of those styles?
Definitely the Annie Cayetano and her mother. I mean, her mom's work is like awesome, especially with the bull rush and everything. But definitely want to spend some time working with them a little bit. Another one is, let me see, Miss. Right now, definitely that's on the top of my list. That's a priority.
Yes, indeed. And I know that when your grandmother was in her 70s, she had an injury that kept her home for an extended period of time. So you said, unbeknownst to you, she began sewing baskets, and giving them to different family members. So, how many family members did she give it to initially?
Actually, it was my mother, myself, and my older brother. All have different pieces from her. It's interesting because my mom has like a curio of just different baskets, and it's funny because she'll be like, "Well, I'm not sure which yours and which your grandmother's." I was like, "Well, mine's left-handed, Mom." It goes in the opposite direction. So I'm glad that she thinks it's professional enough that it looks as good as my grandmother's.
Yes,
but it's just I'm not there yet.
Wow. And this is probably an off-topic question, Ms. Nicole, but do you know how many sweetgrass basket makers are actually left-handed? Kind of like me, I am left-handed.
I do not. I just know that it's very, very rare. And I know I've met some who are they're left-handed, but they sew baskets right-handed because that's how they were taught, which is interesting. And actually, when I first started, that's what my grandmother tried to get me to do. She's like, well, try to do it with your right hand. I was like, nope. I'm not, and again, I didn't learn until, maybe 10, 15 years ago. But I was like, no, at that point I'm an adult. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to force it. So I worked and worked and worked until I could do it the left-handed way.
And so what is the biggest difference from when you started 10, 15 years ago to right now about this art form?
I think that it's becoming, as Charleston itself becomes more popular, it's bringing more attention to the art itself. And it's interesting because I'm traveling and travel nursing in North Carolina now. And it's a question somebody asked me one day. They were like, "Oh, well, do you know anything about the baskets that they sell down at the market?" I was like, "I know a little bit about those." But definitely, I think, the not having access to resources is kind of hurting us a lot right now. So hopefully that gets better as well, because that's definitely going to hurt the industry if we can't get the resources.
And where are you getting your resources from right now?
Well, I have a cousin in Mount Pleasant, my cousin Harold. That's what I call him, Cousin Harold. Who I always just, whenever I need some, I just hit him up. Yeah. I don't know where he gets it from, but I thank God that he's able to get it. when I need it. So
And,
that's a blessing. So
oh, absolutely. And what other resources do you all need now to keep this art form alive 10, 15, 20 years from now?
I think really just because the palm is kind of always around, but definitely the
Yeah.
access to the sweetgrass and just I think technology in a way too, because that helps bring attention. Social media,
Yes.
doing things like this help to bring more attention to the art. So definitely social media is
And
a resource.
resource, absolutely. And Ms. Nicole, let me ask you this. What are the complexities when it comes to sweetgrass?
Well, it can only be picked at certain times of the year. That's one of the things. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that in different regions of the country, there's different kinds of sweetgrass.
Hmm.
Because I know like a lot of Native Americans in the Midwest, I believe, use sweetgrass, but it's a different kind of sweetgrass
Oh.
than ours. But it can only be picked certain times of the year. Then it has to be cured out in the sun. So depending on when you pick it, it's like people don't realize all that goes in. They think we just go out and just grab the grass and just start going. I was like, no, the grass is green. We have to cure it.
Right.
So, and usually my cousin Harold will do that for me. I don't have to get it yet. Yeah, usually by the time I get it from him, it's already cured. It's just ready for me to start working with. So,
And Mr. Cool, what else does the average consumer or customer doesn't know about sweetgrass baskets?
My thing has always been the left-handed, right-handed thing that a lot of people don't realize there's a difference. So that's always one I like to point out, in that not every basket. Heck, a lot of people think bulrush is in every basket. I said, no, not everybody uses. Like, I don't use bulrush. So that's a resource, but it's not one that I in particular use. And one of the things I've learned over the years is that even like the basket makers in Georgia use a different palm and a different part of the palm than those of us up here in South Carolina do. So it's just it's like as I start to interview more and meet more people, I've learned a little bit more about sweetgrass makers outside of Charleston.
Wow. And where are these other basket makers are located, which really surprises you to this day?
I've met some in Savannah. I know there are some down in Jacksonville. It's kind of like what they call that Gullah corridor.
Yes.
Between Florida and I guess up to, is it Virginia? Does it go that far? I know at least North Carolina.
Yes, ma'am.
The coast of North Carolina, but I'm not sure if it goes up as far as Virginia. But I've met a few definitely in Savannah, Georgia. And that top half of Florida area. So
oh yeah, Jacksonville and all that. Yes, indeed. And I want to ask you this too, Miss Nicole. But what are those other creative juices that have allowed you to keep doing this art form?
Definitely, again, technology and social media, and just especially things like Pinterest. I'm always on Pinterest, just kind of looking at. Not necessarily sweetgrass. I may to see a regular commercially made basket, or I love to look at pine needle baskets as well, and how people design some of the designs that people come up with those, even though they're not made the same way as ours. It's just, but I love Pinterest and being able to go on there and just save lots of things for inspiration. A lot of times it's just it's not so much like special requests for me. I think the past year I haven't made a lot because I've been doing a lot of commissions.
Yes.
And that kind of slowed me down from having a lot of product on my Etsy site. So I'm trying to get back to just getting some things made. But a lot of the commissions that I've done, again, the elephant ears and the crosses, those as like, so it's kind of like technology helps me in the sense that it gets my work out there and people can come to me when they want particular items, but I also kind of limit myself. I know my limitations, and I know that I cannot see myself doing something past a certain size. I just don't have the patience or the time
Right.
for it. But just recognizing my limitations as well is important. So,
And you talk about obviously getting a lot of work through those commissions. Before all of that, Ms. Nicole, how many baskets have you actually sewn?
I well, when we first launched on Etsy as a part of the Etsy Nest program, I sold probably 80% of the baskets that I had already pre-made. Then, and it's just I think I couldn't keep up with with the interest, honestly.
Right.
But it's because I'm not cranking them out like a lot of people who do it full time.
Yes.
So, but I sold 80%, I think, 80 to 85% of my baskets.
And what was that total for pre-made?
Well, actually, all of those were pre-made. All of the ones I sold on Etsy were all the pre-made ones. It was after that the commissions started coming because I ran out of some of the things that had been on Etsy, and everybody was, and I kind of get to the point where I don't even want to make too much of certain things because I want it to be special.
Yes.
And I have one basket that everybody always wants, and I'm like, nope. I've reached the number that I'm going to make. I promised myself that I was not going to make anymore because I want it to be that unique. So sometimes it's hard getting people to understand it.
Yes.
But it's just like I said, knowing my limits.
Yes.
It's so.
So what are those limitations when it comes to Sweetgrass basket making?
For me, time. I because I work full time as a nurse, it's just I have to squeeze it in, like at 4 o'clock in the morning. I might try to get an hour or two done, and because I'm a travel nurse, it's carrying my supplies.
Oh yes,
carrying supplies with me as well. So that's one of my limitations. It's just not having as much time to devote to it as I would like. But it's like I love nursing, and I don't want to give that up,
right?
Either. So I'm trying to make the best of both worlds.
And besides what you just said, what is that unique balance for you for getting both of these things done and still having time to be, have for yourself?
Repeat the question again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you talk about obviously being a nurse and love doing, being a nurse, and obviously you love Sweetgrass basket. So besides what you told me, what is that balance for you?
It's definitely, like I said, limiting the size of my baskets and the type of baskets that I make available. Like, I don't really do jewelry. That's not my thing. I find that's actually, I think, harder sometimes than making big baskets. But hats off to anybody that makes them. But it's very rare that you see me do a piece of jewelry. I might do like a bracelet, but that's about it.
Right, yeah.
But just recognizing, finding that balance for me is definitely using my off time to kind of, like I said, if I don't do something, at least make some starters. Just something to kind of keep my mind on the craft. So
absolutely, and I want to ask you this too, but how do you express yourself through your Sweetgrass basket artistry?
I think usually through the designs, because even my commissions, everything is all. It's not that nobody comes to me with a plan. I am very grateful that the things I've come up with have been like really, really desired by the public, and that has been a benefit, for me, because I've had people say, well, do you make big? No, I don't make big pieces. This is what I do, and like it or you either like it or you don't. But it's just yep, that's it.
Yes, ma'am. I completely understand. And what uniqueness, and this is probably a redundant question, have you actually added to your work?
definitely. One of the things that I always do the pine needle center. I don't ever. Some people, mix it up. They might start
Yes.
with. I always do a pine needle center. That's just my thing. I try to always make sure I sign the bottom
Mm.
of my baskets and put
Sure.
the year completed. So for the commission pieces that I was doing, because I was only doing a certain number of them, I made sure I numbered those because I only wanted so many of them out there. So one of my friends that I made the original basket for his retirement, he's the one that gave me the idea. He said, have you thought about numbering the basket so you know how many? I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought about that.
Right.
So that was one of the things that I started doing. So I said, I'm going to come up with something else unique and, do the same thing, do a limited number and just number them. But I definitely signed the baskets.
Yes.
And put put the year I made them
Wow.
on there. I always have the center, the pine straw center. So,
And this is probably another redundant question too, Miss Nicole. But what makes your baskets, your sweetgrass baskets, so unique?
definitely the left-handed thing, because my rolls go in the opposite direction of those done by a right-handed person. I think what I've had people tell me, is that the way my rolls flow, it's just something unique about it, which I don't see it, but other people have looked at my work and be like, it's just the way your rolls just flow. When I'm like, okay, but that definitely is that's what I've been told.
Wow, that's really amazing. So, if somebody, and I know you're so extremely busy these days, but if somebody wants to contact you about a basket, how should they go about that?
My email is sweetgrasssews@gmail.com, and you can also find me on Etsy. My Etsy shop is Sweetgrass Sews. That's SEWS Sews, and you can always contact me through there as well. And I'm also on Instagram at Sweetgrass Sews by Nicole.
Well, that is really, really amazing. Well, Nicole Williams, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you for having me. Like I said, I'm so glad we finally got a chance to do this. So
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Anytime.
all right.
Thank you.